You want to change your life? You want to finally break free, stop procrastinating, start moving, and take massive action? Then you need to understand one thing. Nothing moves without emotion. Information doesn't change people. Logic doesn't change lives. Emotion is the driving force behind every breakthrough, every transformation, every moment where a human being says, enough is enough. I'm doing this now. You didn't fall in love because it made sense. You didn't chase a dream because it was logical. You did it because something lit a fire inside you. Something stirred your soul, woke you up, and pushed you forward like a tidal wave. That's what creates action. That's what fuels courage. That's what tears down fear. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. If you're not taking action, it's not because you don't know what to do. It's because you haven't attached enough emotion to why you must do it. People stay stuck in their heads, spinning in circles, trying to figure it out. But the mind is a library of ideas, not a source of power. Power doesn't come from thinking. It comes from feeling, from deciding right now that you are no longer willing to live in a state of limitation. It comes from getting brutally honest with yourself about what it's costing you to stay where you are. Emotion doesn't just light the fuse, it is the fuse. You have to find something that hits you in the gut, something that makes your heart beat faster. Maybe it's the fear of waking up 10 years from now in the same place. Maybe it's the vision of who you're meant to become. Maybe it's the pain you see in your family's eyes because they know you're capable of more. Whatever it is, you got to connect to it deeply, personally, and consistently. You want lasting change? Stop waiting for inspiration and create leverage. Look at the cost of inaction, stack it, feel it, make it real. If you don't change, what will your life look like in 5 years, 10 years? That feeling, that emotional tension isn't your enemy, it's your superpower. It's the very thing that will get you to move. Because once you feel something on a deep emotional level, it's no longer a should, it becomes a must. And when something becomes a must, you will move mountains to make it happen. You will find the time, you will fight through the fear, you will break the pattern. Not because it's easy, not because someone gave you permission, but because you connected to the deeper reason why you can't afford not to. Emotion is energy. It's the fuel in your tank. You don't need more books. You don't need another seminar. What you need is to step into that emotional truth right now and let it wake you the hell up. Because once you do, once you decide to stop numbing, stop hiding, and start feeling again, nothing will stop you. That's the moment you rise. That's when action becomes inevitable. Don't wait to be ready. Get emotional, get raw, get real, and move. Motivation is a lie. That might sting a little, but it's the truth you need to hear. People sit around waiting for it like it's some magical breeze that's going to blow through the window and suddenly get them off the couch into the gym, building the business, having the conversation, chasing the dream. But that moment doesn't come. Not like that. Not ever. Motivation isn't something that shows up first. It's something that shows up after you move, after you decide, after you take that uncomfortable first step. You've been conditioned to think you need to feel good before you act. But that's backwards. That's the trap. You don't need to feel good to do the thing. You need to do the thing to feel good. You need to force yourself into motion before you feel like it. Because if you wait until you feel like it, you're going to be stuck forever, stuck in a loop of excuses, stuck rationalizing your delay, stuck convincing yourself that maybe tomorrow will finally be the day. But there is no magical tomorrow. There is only now. The people who win in life, who create something extraordinary, aren't the ones who wait for motivation. They're the ones who build a habit of moving without it. They act despite resistance. They move through fear. They lean into discomfort, because they know that if they just do the damn thing, if they get up and start, everything changes. Their body shifts, their energy rises, their mind clears. Action breeds clarity. Action breeds belief. Action breeds momentum. You want to know why so many people feel lost? It's because they're sitting around trying to think their way into confidence. You don't think your way into confidence. You act your way into it. You show yourself what you're made of by doing what your excuses told you not to do. That's where pride is born. That's where drive is built. And when you stack those little wins, when you take action, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's hard, you build something far more powerful than motivation. You build discipline. You build resilience. You build fire. And here's what they don't tell you. Once you move, motivation starts to chase you. It shows up when it sees you're serious, when it sees you're committed. But if you're standing still, it's never coming. You've got to go first. You've got to take the leap, make the call, show up for yourself when nobody's watching. That's how you train your nervous system to rise. That's how you break the chains of inertia. Stop lying to yourself that you need to feel it before you begin. What you need is a decision, a line in the sand, a moment where you say, no more. And then you act. Not next week, not tomorrow, now. Because that action, that first move, that one decision to push when every part of you wants to pull back, that is what rewires your brain. That is what sets the tone for the life you're here to live. You don't need motivation, you need movement. And once you move, really move, with purpose, with intensity, with hunger, you'll realize you never needed motivation in the first place. You just needed to go first. The comfort zone is a silent killer. It doesn't scream, it doesn't chase you, it doesn't even feel like the enemy. It whispers, it tells you you're fine, that you've done enough, that you deserve to rest, to play it safe, to avoid risk. And because it feels easy, because it feels warm and familiar, you listen, you stay, you settle. And bit by bit, the fire inside you starts to fade. Not because you don't have potential, not because you're not capable, but because you've made peace with staying small. But here's the truth. Nothing extraordinary is ever built inside the comfort zone. That space might protect you from failure, from fear, from discomfort, but it also shields you from growth, from greatness, from that version of you that's still waiting to be unleashed. You were not designed for easy. You were built to expand, to stretch, to evolve. And you cannot evolve while clinging to what's familiar. You've got to be willing to burn the ships. You've got to reach the point where staying the same becomes more painful than changing. There will never be a perfect time. There will never be total certainty. You'll never have all the answers. But that's the point. Real transformation comes when you step into the unknown and trust that you'll figure it out along the way. That's where power is built, in the resistance, in the struggle, in the moments where everything in you wants to retreat, but you step forward anyway. That's how you develop grit. That's how you find out who you really are when the pressure hits. Every time you choose comfort over courage, you trade your potential for temporary ease. But every time you push, every time you lean into the challenge, every time you say yes to the thing that scares you, you grow, you expand, and the walls of your life move outward. What once felt impossible becomes normal. What once terrified you becomes a tool. That's how confidence is built. Not by waiting to feel ready, but by walking into discomfort over and over again until it loses its grip on you. Don't get it twisted. Comfort is not your reward. It's a trap. It's designed to keep you average. It convinces you to tolerate less than you're capable of. It convinces you to accept excuses over execution. But you were not born to live a life of quiet desperation. You were born to create, to rise, to become something unstoppable. And to do that, you have to get uncomfortable by choice, not by force. You have to decide that the cost of playing small is too damn high. That decision is everything. Because the second you choose discomfort on purpose, you take your power back. You stop reacting and start directing. You stop surviving and start creating. And yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to test you, but that's where the gold is. That's where your edge lives. That's where your breakthrough hides, right behind the thing you keep avoiding. So whatever that thing is, the conversation you've been putting off, the goal you've been too scared to chase, the habit you keep breaking, it's time. Step into it. Lean into the resistance. Break the pattern. Because the comfort zone might feel safe, but your dreams are dying there. And the moment you finally step out, not just once, but consistently, everything changes. You stop surviving your life and you start building it for real. You can have the best strategy in the world, the most detailed plan, the perfect step-by-step system, but if you're in the wrong state, none of it matters. You won't follow through, you won't show up, you won't execute with the power that's required to create real change. Because state your emotional, physical, mental energy in the moment is everything. It's the fuel behind your strategy. It's the switch that turns a plan from words on paper into unstoppable momentum. People obsess over strategy. They study it, they chase it, they tweak it endlessly, thinking if they just had the right formula, they'd finally move. But the truth is, it's not about the how. It's about the who you are when you show up. And who you are in the moment isn't decided by your goals, it's decided by your state. When you're in a powerful state, when your mind is sharp, your body is alive, your emotions are aligned, you become resourceful, you become bold, you become decisive, you stop second guessing, you stop hesitating, and you start owning the moment. But if you're in a low state, tired, distracted, anxious, disconnected, it doesn't matter how brilliant the strategy is, you'll sabotage it. You'll find excuses, you'll talk yourself out of taking action. That's why changing your life starts with changing your state. In a second, not tomorrow, not later, now. Because state is something you can control. You control it with your breath, your posture, your movement, your focus, your language. You control it with what you choose to think about and what meaning you give the moment you're in. You're not a machine. You're a human being wired to move through emotion, through energy. And when you learn how to shift that energy, you become unstoppable. People think they need confidence to act. But confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you generate. And it's generated through state. Stand tall, breathe deep, speak like someone who believes in what they're saying, and your physiology tells your brain, we're ready. You step into a new identity. And from that identity, action flows. You don't have to wait for external circumstances to line up. You don't have to wait to be chosen. You choose yourself. You put yourself in the right state, and then you go execute with everything you've got. You've got to protect your state like your life depends on it, because it does. Your relationships, your business, your health, your purpose, every part of your life is a reflection of the state you live in. Live in a peak state consistently, and you will make better decisions, build better habits, create better results. Not because you suddenly found a new strategy, but because you became the kind of person who follows through. The kind of person who doesn't let fear dictate the tempo. The kind of person who brings energy to the room instead of waiting for it to show up. This is the edge. Not another tactic, not another routine. The edge is in how you show up in each moment. How you command your own state. That's where leadership starts. That's where transformation begins. Strategy is the map, but your state is the engine. Without the engine, the map is useless. So master your state first, and the strategy will follow. It always does. Momentum is not magic. It's not some lucky break or a wave that just happens to carry you forward. It's built brick by brick, step by step, decision by decision. And the way you build it is by stacking tiny wins, not massive leaps, not overnight success stories, not viral moments. Tiny wins, the kind that seem almost insignificant when they happen, the kind that no one sees, that no one celebrates, but they matter because each one is a message to your mind that says, I'm moving, I'm doing it, I'm becoming. Most people think they have to wait until they can make some big dramatic move to change their life. They think they need a breakthrough moment before they can start. But the truth is, the breakthrough comes because you started. It comes because you showed up when it wasn't convenient, because you did the work when no one clapped for you, because you kept the promise to yourself when it would have been easier to quit. That's how momentum is built. Quietly, relentlessly, in the shadows, before anyone knows your name. And once you get even a little bit of momentum, everything changes. You wake up with energy. You feel alive. You start believing in yourself again, not because someone gave you permission, but because you've seen yourself follow through. That's where confidence lives. It lives in those tiny moments where you said, I'll do it, and then you actually did. It could be getting out of bed when you said you would, could be making the call you've been putting off, could be drinking the water, taking the walk, turning the page, pushing through the last rep. Small actions repeated consistently create a storm, but the mind will try to convince you that it's not enough, that unless it's big, it doesn't count, that if it's not perfect, it's not progress. That voice is the enemy. That voice wants you to stay where you are because it knows that once you start stacking wins, once you start generating that internal momentum, you become a problem. You become someone who doesn't need motivation. You become someone who takes action because that's just who you are now. You don't need to climb the whole mountain today. You need to take the next step, then the next. You need to train your nervous system to associate progress with pleasure. That means celebrating the small stuff, not pretending like it's nothing, treating it like it's everything, because it is. That tiny win you just earned, that's the crack in the wall. That's the signal that change is happening. That's how you build belief. That's how you turn effort into identity. Momentum isn't built on intensity, it's built on consistency. Anyone can go hard for a day. What matters is whether you can keep showing up, whether you can keep moving even when it's slow, even when it's boring, even when it's quiet. Because if you do that, if you stack those small wins day after day after day, something clicks. You go from trying to force change to living it. You go from effort to embodiment. And that's when the shift happens. That's when you look in the mirror and realize you're not who you used to be. You've outgrown the old story, not because you made one big move, but because you stacked the tiny wins that built your unstoppable momentum. There comes a point where you have to decide, not think about it, not talk about it, not write it down in another journal or put it on a vision board. Decide with finality, with a level of certainty that cuts through doubt like a knife. Because real transformation doesn't begin with inspiration, it begins with a decision that says, this is who I am now, this is what I do, and there's no turning back. That kind of decision is rare, but when you make it, the universe starts to respond differently. Doors open, energy shifts, people feel it, and most importantly, you feel it. You feel the power of being fully committed. Most people don't make real decisions, they make preferences. They say things like, I want to get in shape, or I'd love to start that business, or someday I'll leave this job. But they leave themselves an out, a back door, a way to explain it away if it doesn't happen. And as long as that back door is open, you'll never go all in. You'll always hesitate. You'll always wonder if there's a better time, an easier path, a more comfortable option. But finality closes the back door. It removes the escape route. It's the moment when you draw a line in the sand and say, this is it, I'm doing this, period. There is a different energy in that kind of decision. It's not casual, it's not theoretical, it's full body, full heart, full soul commitment. When you decide with finality, you don't hope anymore. You know. You don't question whether or not you'll do it. You figure out how to get it done. That doesn't mean it gets easier. That doesn't mean fear disappears, but the internal war ends. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop explaining your delays. You stop accepting less. You act, you execute, you do what's required. It's not about waiting until everything feels right. It's about choosing who you're going to be right now and backing it up with action. You don't need 100 steps planned out. You need to decide who the hell you are and take the first step like your life depends on it, because in a way it does. Your life will always reflect the quality of your decisions. Weak decisions create weak results. Final decisions, unshakable, non-negotiable ones, create transformation. This is why people who burn the ships win, because they remove the option to retreat. They go forward because there is no other choice. That's the mindset you need. Not, I'll try, but I must. Not, I'll see what happens, but I will make this happen. You have that in you. You've always had it, but you have to unleash it. You have to stop giving yourself half choices and start stepping into decisions that define you. Think back to a moment in your life when you really decided something, when you made a call and never looked back. It changed everything, didn't it? It changed how you felt. It changed what you focused on. It changed what you were willing to tolerate. That's what we're after, not another goal, a new standard, a new identity. And that starts the second you decide for real with finality that you're done being less than who you were born to be. So stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop playing the what if game. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Decide who you are, decide what you stand for, decide what you will no longer accept, and then move with everything you've got. Because once the decision is made with that kind of clarity and commitment, your entire life starts to align with it. And that's when the breakthrough becomes inevitable.